Season 3 of The Handmaid's Tale continued to prove that the show is one of the darkest, most harrowing and riveting dramas on television. It concluded months ago to rave reviews, leaving audiences wondering where the hell our beloved characters will end up next season. I'm Rob Licuria, Senior Editor at Gold Derby, and I'm here with Emmy nominee Yvonne Strahovski. Yvonne, you star as Commander's wife Serena Joy, and I see her as neither villain nor ally, but something more complicated in between. How do you describe her to people? Is she evil? Is she misunderstood, or something else?
I don't think she's misunderstood. But yeah, I mean, the way I see it is she sits kind of in the midst of her own sort of complicated layers and twisted up version of who she is and moral stand, really, if that makes sense. Although, I mean, I think the majority of people would see her as a villain, and there's certainly a lot of hate out there for Serena Joy, as there should be. But she is a complicated woman, for sure. Her feelings she's constantly, I think, battling her inner demons and her inner feelings.
Yeah. You know, when I spoke to you a couple of years ago, I said that your character, Serena, had become so pivotal in season 2, and I couldn't have imagined that even in season 3, she even became more important to the storyline. And you were given a lot of really great work to do, a lot of really great material. What were your thoughts when it was mapped out for you what Serena's journey would be over season 3? Were you excited, nervous? What was the feeling for you?
I was excited. I remember hearing, obviously she's given up baby Nicole and the absolute loss of that. I was really happy to explore that because we did get to touch on Serena's more vulnerable side throughout season 2. So in, hitting season 3, it was really about kind of pouring out this kind of uncensored emotional version of Serena, that is even more heightened when she's around someone like her mother and those scenes. And, I was a little taken aback when I first found out that she would come to change her mind. But of course she would. She's Serena Joy. And it's exciting. It's exciting for me to play something like that, to really kind of move through all those emotions only to sort of figure out that very selfishly she actually can't do the greatest thing for her daughter and let her go into a newer and safer world. She must have her back because she can't deal with her own emotions. She's consumed by the need to be a mother, which is also partly a mask for her. It's masking a whole lot of other stuff that she's really not facing as she's living in Gilead.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, actually, that it is a mark. But before we go into season 3, actually, while we're on between season 2 and season 3, a really amazing thing happened to you a couple of years ago when you were nominated for an Emmy for your first one, I think, for your role on The Handmaid's Tale. Can you take us back? It was a while ago now because you weren't eligible last year. It was a weird thing that a lot of Emmy watchers would know. The Handmaid's Tale was only eligible in certain categories. But when you were nominated, do you remember the morning of and how you felt when you saw your name being read out?
I was very thrilled. It was my first Emmy nomination, so I was really, really excited. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. This is my career, and what I've chosen to do with my life is all I've ever done, actually. So to have kind of arrived at the point where I'm part of a show that is received so intensely, I think is the right word for it, and to be recognized as a key player in that show is really, really kind of beyond wonderful.
And then do you have a favourite moment or highlight from the actual Emmy night itself when you think back to it?
The Emmy night, God, I'm blanking on whether that wasn't the one where I was pregnant, was it? No, yes, it was. I was.
Yeah, it was. It was. That's right.
Pregnant. I thought I was so close to my due date that I thought from the excitement of being there, and it's so mind-blowing when you're there, because you see all these actors that you've grown up watching on television, and you're sort of you're half between excitement and intimidation, and just enjoying the night and all the things that you're feeling. And I thought, my God, my water's gonna break and give birth right here on the red carpet, because I'm so overwhelmed. But that didn't happen, thankfully.
Thank God. That would have been really great to see, but not for you, maybe.
No. Yeah. It crossed my mind that was going to happen.
But it was pretty cool. And then obviously soon after that, you started, or season 3 then commenced on Hulu, and we've got plenty of things that we can talk about with season 3. So I just thought we would cover a few of your highlights. You've got lots of episodes that you might want to choose if and when you ever get nominated again. And I thought episodes like Useful, which also where you co-starred alongside Layla Robbins, who plays your mum, Pamela. Unknown Caller is a really good one, where Serena is temporarily reunited with Nicole. And then also towards the end, when the Waterfords are in Canada. There's lots to choose from. Have you got something in mind as your best work from season 3 that you really enjoyed doing, that you really liked?
I think for me, the biggest, the one that comes to mind first, and that always has, is I think it was 5, where I reunite with Nicole. There's just so much to sort of power through in that episode, and I really love the stuff with the mother as well, with Serena's mother, and that sort of journey, and the stuff, where she walks into the water and she's kind of drowning in it. I mean, it's a metaphor for drowning in her own emotions and really not knowing which way is up. But there's that scene really sticks out for me with reuniting with baby Nicole, just because it was so, it was such a moment where Serena could really get lost in a very pure and raw emotion of being reunited with the baby, but it's so clouded with all this other stuff that's happening because of Luke's presence and the circumstances in general, that she's had to cross the border to go and see her child. It's a very arranged thing that is being watched by people, like Mark and Luke, and then maybe unknown people as well that are observing this from afar, perhaps. And it's just it's such a tainted experience for her. And so I loved kind of playing with that duality of having to still be the manipulative Serena whilst kind of automatically losing herself in the emotional the emotional side of that reunion and what that would really feel like for her.
Yeah, I remember watching that particular scene in the airport. There's a lot of emotion that you're playing, and it's very nuanced. So you can see how Serena is so desperate to be back with Nicole. It's really, I got really caught up in it. And then towards the end, the real Serena does come out, where she kind of throws out a veiled threat to Luke. So, if she doesn't get away, then June's going to have issues. And I'm just wondering, how difficult was it to get that scene right? Did you have to do it, many, many times to kind of play that emotion so carefully, or did it come out pretty easily at the beginning? How did that work?
That scene was very clear to me. I knew exactly how I wanted to do that, what I wanted to do with it, and we just kind of went in and went for it. And I can't speak for OT, but I'm pretty sure, he felt the same way. I mean, there was obviously a lot of, massaging and finessing as we went along, as there usually is, but it wasn't like we had any sort of, we started off one way and ended up in a completely different way. It was really sort of from the get-go, we were zoned in on one another, and it's strong because there's two very clear opposing forces at work here in this scene with Luke and his animosity towards Serena versus what Serena Joy is going through, what I was describing earlier. So, yeah.
But what's really interesting, and it's credit to you, is that you normally would expect to side with Luke, but you don't really necessarily do that. You do understand where Serena is coming from, and because she really actually loves Nicole and wants to be with her. And the same thing happens at the end of the season when she's finally kind of getting her way, and she's in Canada and she's free and she's with Nicole, and then her husband kind of betrays her, just like she had done a couple of episodes earlier, and then she's then arrested. I felt really sorry for Serena. That was kind of bullshit that, suddenly now she's being arrested for what happened with Nick and June. And I'm wondering.
Really?
Yeah. Can you believe it? Maybe there's something wrong with me, but I felt kind of sorry for her a little, because I just thought, well, I don't know.
You might be the only one.
I know, right? I'm on the Serena train, but what do you think? Like, did you not feel a little sorry for her that she's just so messed up and this is where she's landed?
I mean, if I remove myself from, being so attached to the insides of Serena Joy, having played her, I don't think I feel sorry for her. I think she has it coming, and it's exactly where she should be, actually. But as the person playing her, of course, in the scenes, I think Serena for sure feels sorry for herself, but it's pretty short-lived. I think Serena doesn't really wallow in that kind of self-pity for very long. If anything, it just motivates her and drives her, really quickly, deeply into her next manipulative move.
Yeah, that's right, and no doubt she will make a move and something exciting will happen. What can we look forward to for season 4?
Oh man, what we can look forward to the start of, going back to continue shooting what we started. Gosh, we've really only, how much did we get in the can? Maybe 2 weeks worth? I don't know. It's going to be a long way. And who knows when we get back? I mean, that's kind of first and foremost, really. I don't know what to say without sort of giving away, as usual, what we can look forward to. Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't know how to.
Just say nothing. It's going to be really good. Let's just say that. It's going to be really good. Yeah. One other question about season 3, and then we'll move on to a few other things, is last time we spoke, you said that you were surprised that we could still be shocked by the show, because the show does go there. And then every once in a while, I'm just like, geez, this show is so intense. And that's what happened in season 2 when Serena was beaten. This season, we got that episode in Washington called Household, which I think was directed by Colin Watkinson, the cinematographer. And that was pretty bloody grim, like to see handmaids with rings in their lips and stuff like that. What did you make of that episode when you guys were filming it? Was it a really good one to shoot?
That was really intense. It was actually Colin directed the one before that, the one with the scene with baby Nicole and Serena.
Oh,
and Derver directed
right.
The Washington DC episode. That one was incredibly intense. I did not expect to feel so sort of inspired in a very powerful and dramatic way by the actual space when we were standing in front of the Lincoln Memorial and standing on the steps and actually having, I think we had 200 extras there with the handmaids that were standing there. The rest were digitally inserted in post. But it was really, really powerful because of what that memorial stands for, and, and how historically powerful it is. And there's all kinds of parallels and relevance there. But I didn't expect to feel that. And I remember reading in the script about the handmaids with the rings in their mouths, and I thought, oh my God. I mean, they've really, for me, that was one of the moments I thought, wow, this is really pushing it in another direction that I almost can't take. It's one of those moments for me as a viewer when I step back from it.
Yeah, I totally felt that way. And I guess we shouldn't be surprised. The key art for season 3 said "Wake Up, America," and it was very, it made me realize or remember that this show has never shied away from its cultural relevance. And we've talked about this before. I'm sure a lot of people ask about how relevant it is to today. But my question is a bit different. It's more just like, are you are you proud of the way the show comments on feminism and religious extremism and power like it does? Like, it really does not shy away, and it really does go there. It's very bold and it's very intense. Yeah,
I am. Obviously I'm not responsible for the writing, but I'm for my part in it, I'm absolutely proud of partaking in something like this. I think it's necessary. I think a lot of people struggle to watch it, and I'm one of them. There are certain scenes. I mean, I'm not there for when the other actors shoot their scenes, and some of it is really, really intense. But it's, I think it's great that it's out there. You know, it's art imitating life, and that's what we're here for as artists. We're here to hold the mirror up, and this show does that in an extreme way. And I think it really, you know, people walk away from it having very deep and meaningful conversations about where we are in the world, and what are we going to do about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, completely changing tack, you recently reunited with your Chuck cast. I noticed it all over social media. Tell us about that. That would have been really exciting.
Oh, it was very cool. It was very exciting. A little strange too to go, you know, because so many years later to have to come together again. But we were just, you know, we were texting. We have a text thread, and sometimes every so often we get on it and we touch base with everybody, and we were kind of tossing around ideas about what could we do? Is there something we could do during this time to be helpful? And we just came up with the idea to do a read-through. I know we have such an amazing fan base for that show, and they are very eager always to see us reunite. So it seemed like the perfect opportunity to raise a bit of money and help out and help Feeding America. So we've actually raised over $70,000 now, just by doing that Chuck reunion. So it's so great to, I don't know, to be able to just do something, because you just feel so helpless when you're sitting at home in this time, you know, not being able to sort of walk around and actually physically do anything.
Yeah, it was pretty. I watched a bit of it, and it seemed like you guys were having fun, and that's nice to watch as well. Another question is that you recently, or you're currently starring in the awesome Aussie drama Stateless. And, you know, Aussie to Aussie, I have to at least go there with one question. I think that's airing on Netflix globally, but it aired obviously on the ABC here. Was it exciting for you to be back at home, so to speak, and working on a high-profile project alongside someone like Kate Blanchett?
It was totally exciting. I was really blown away that she asked me to come and be a part of it. I was blown away by the scripts when I read them. I mean, talk about relevance as well. There's another very important series and set of stories within one story to watch. It was challenging in a lot of different ways, and it became really, I mean, I have to say it was one of my most favorite experiences, because it just became so real. You know, it's one thing to come into a project and tell, you know, lift a story off of the page, but it's another thing to actually meet people with you and be working in the same space, you know, in front of a camera between action and cut with people who have lived and breathed the stories that we're actually telling in the show. And that was really powerful when we got to the Port Augusta set of the detention center, and I realized that all the extras, background artists that they had hired, were people who had either directly had an experience with detention and being stateless, or had family or you know, some kind of firsthand, secondhand experience within that world. And we heard, you know, so many stories, very harrowing stories, and it just made it really real, and it just sort of upped the stakes as a performer for me gave me a greater sense of responsibility in a way to really take pride and ownership in my part in that show, in Stateless.
Yeah, it's highly recommended when it does finally drop outside Australia. Everyone should watch it. In the meantime, I'm really looking forward to season 4 of The Handmaid's Tale. I'm just dying to know what happens. Obviously, we have to wait now until you guys are back on set.
So am I.
We just got to get through this crazy, crazy time. But Yvonne, I really want to firstly congratulate you on great season 3, and thank you so much for your time. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, everybody, while you're at home doing nothing, you might as well go to goldderby.com, make your predictions for The Handmaid's Tale, maybe even Yvonne in supporting actress, and then click subscribe to watch all of our great contender chats just like this one.